The wife's boss wants to buy her underwear. So I need some honest advice here. My wife and I married 10 years, kids, great relationship, and I would regard her as my best friend up to about 3 days ago. I had massive amount of data being used on my phone. Turned out to be an app. No big deal. However, when I pulled up the usage data, it automatically pulls up phone calls first. I see a 45-minute phone call at 2 a.m. in the morning to a number I don't know. So I look up the number and how many calls, how long, etc. Turns out there is 37 calls to this number, 25 of them after I have been asleep in bed. Many of them at 1, 2, 3, even 4 in the morning. I confronted her. She has a new, great job with a very intelligent boss she envies and made this clear to me. I've always trusted her. All the calls were to her boss. He called only 3 or 4 times. She said everything they talked about was work-related. Insisted on it over and over again. Despite this, I know some of the nights we had been having a few toddies, weekends. She also lied to me 2 months ago when she said she went running by herself at 5:30 a.m. She did, but he ended showing up and said he couldn't run that early. Not a big deal because she told me she was running with him, but she insisted when she got back that he never even showed up. So why lie about it? Really weird. I called her on it, and she said she loves me and only has feelings for me, and she wouldn't destroy her career and his career by cheating. More emphasis on what she would lose than she loves me. He has a super fancy pants sports car and is married with kids himself. When he was on a business trip, my wife said he needed to text her updates of the conference. He ends up sending her a picture of a $750K car he is thinking about buying. She shows me, but still pretty weird that he is texting this to his employee, right? Aside from that, she removed texting from the iPad and her computer at home. She also changed the passwords on this account. I made her show me the messages to him. She had erased them all. So, now what? Was she having a physical affair too? She says absolutely not, it was all business related. I will say she is addicted to education and learning, and it would not be surprising to hear this. But the fact he was receptive to her calls in the middle of the night is messed up. Update 1. 4 days after I found out. We have been talking over the past few days, and arguing and whatnot. She insists she loves me, has only loved me, and will always only love me. That nothing physical ever happened. That the new job got her worked up, someone could have died if she put the wrong thing in, and that she called him late one night because she needed to make sure what she did was right. That turned into several calls late at night. She admits to calling, but that she never emotionally cheated because it really was work-related. She has zero feelings for him, and their relationship has been and still is 100% professional only. Fair enough. I am reasonable, this seems reasonable. She willingly gave me her iPhone and said install spyware on it. I told her I will be recovering all of the messages, and she said that is fine. So, maybe I am being over the top, but why erase them if it wasn't incriminating? She said she didn't think I would like it if I knew she was texting him. I said 1. Do you think I like finding out you erased all of the messages more? 2. If it was all professional, why would I care? She has apologized about 1 million times, promises it will never happen again, but I cannot get over the erasing of the messages. It will be chilling to see if she erased these when I called her at work to ask her about the number. If she erased them right after I called, the messages will more than likely be incriminating. Update 2. Sorry, not updated in a while. This sucks, so the texting continued to happen. The calls stopped. So over the course of the last 7 months, without getting into too much detail as this would go on forever, she continued to get texts from him. She got a couple from him asking if he can buy her lingerie and telling her how great her body is. She texted him back. She said, "Don't test me." He said, "I'd love to test you." All night long. I saved everything. When this was occurring, we still had a great relationship, love yous, kissing every morning, Zex. Then a few weeks ago they went to a conference together. She hung up on me when I called. Then immediately called him from her room to his room, so it wouldn't be on phone records. Detail here. He called her from a cell phone not belonging to him, so I wouldn't be able to track it. He shows up. Also, I have the entire audio of this. I listened when she got home. She ducking completely froze up, Couldn't believe what was happening and that I knew. Things got pretty hairy, no violence, just yelling and screaming. I left. She spent a couple days with kids at her parents'. She came back. Wants to work things out. Agreed to. Counseling? I'm a ducking mess. Have no idea what to do. I love her. Believe she is my soulmate. She said that they both just ducked up and that here they were making things happen together, and the adrenaline and rush of it all, yada yada, but he is such a ducking predator. They still work together, albeit far less. What the duck do I do? He has said he has told his wife, but I've seen the messages and appears he didn't tell her everything, like the part where they have sex, which is pretty clear on the audio. Story 2. Found out my wife cheated with my best friend's brother a couple of months ago. I am 28 male, my wife is 29 female. She cheated with my best friend's brother a couple of months ago, and I just found out. So, I've been with my wife for just over a decade. We met in high school, started dating, and got married after college. We are each other's first and only romantic relationship. Generally speaking, we've had a pretty solid relationship. We rarely fight, we still love spending time together, and we're 100% best friends. Marriage had, until recently, been easy and wonderful. One evening, last November, she sat me down to talk about our sex life. We have never been super active in the bedroom. It's never really been a problem though. She has always told me that she's just not that much of a sexual person, and I've always respected that. When we do have sex, it's great. No issues there. But she told me that night that she's all but lost any passion/desire for me sexually. She was very kind about it, but she didn't try to sugarcoat it. She said that she just really doesn't ever want it anymore. I told her that I understood. I was hurt, no doubt, but felt like maybe this was a natural thing in a relationship that's been going on since high school, especially considering that neither of us have ever had sex with another person. I still believe that, to an extent. Long story short, we talked for a couple hours and came to the conclusion that this was not great news for our marriage. No big decisions were made that night, but we agreed to give ourselves time to think and reflect and have another conversation in a few weeks. When that time came, she told me that there were things I needed to improve that, if I did, would help her get some desire back. It boiled down to the idea that I wasn't making her enough of a priority, and I hadn't made her feel sexy or special or attractive in a long time. And she was right. I can admit that. So, it became my goal to work on that. And it went really well. After a few weeks of consciously working on it, our sex life lit back up. Better than ever before. Actually, it was fantastic. Hooray for honesty and self-improvement! And then 2 nights ago, I saw a bunch of text messages that I wasn't supposed to see. It was my wife's birthday, and we had gotten drunk with some friends. She went to bed at some point, and I stayed up a bit longer. When I went to bed, I realized my phone was dead and my charger was in another room. Being way too intoxicated and lazy to go get it, I just figured I'd use her phone to set my morning alarm. I grabbed it, saw that she had gotten a text from my best friend's brother, who lives a few hours away, and didn't know exactly how to feel. The last time we saw him was like 8 months ago at my best friend's wedding, after which I recall my wife saying that she always thought he was attractive, which wasn't a big deal at the time. We're always honest about that kind of stuff. I had no idea they ever texted each other though. I thought maybe it was a happy birthday text, but I wasn't totally sure. I spent a minute or two deciding if I should open it. I have never been a snooper, and I don't like the idea of reading her texts, but this felt weird. Maybe it was all the alcohol, but I just felt like something wasn't right. So I opened it. It was not a happy birthday text. To keep this story from getting even longer, I just say that I found an exchange of texts and pictures that went back about 2 months. The texts and pictures were of the XXX variety and quite explicit. I was able to surmise that they had met up and hooked up in December when she was in his town visiting an old friend. It didn't appear that they had banged since then, but they were sexting on a daily basis. I spent about 5 minutes deciding if I was dreaming but came to the inevitable conclusion that I was indeed awake. Enter a new kind of pain and nausea that I'd never experienced before. With my decision-making skills compromised by bourbon, I decided to wake her up and confront her. She started off by denying everything, but she was still very drunk and half asleep and not making a lot of sense. Eventually, when she woke up a bit more, she admitted to it all. Confirmed what I figured out from the texts. Then she spent some time blaming me, saying that I had driven her away with my previously discussed lack of marital prioritization. I was a raging D throughout the conversation, telling her she was a crappy person and a 403. I'm deeply ashamed of my behavior that night, but holy cow, if you've never accidentally stumbled upon your high school sweetheart turned wife's blatant infidelity, it effing sucks. Yesterday, when we were both sober, we talked again. It was still a pretty awful conversation, but a bit more civilized. She took back the blame, apologized profusely, and told me to do whatever I needed to do. The thing is, I have no idea what I want to do. So, like so many before me, I've come here to seek your advice. She had to leave on a work trip for a few days, which is actually pretty good timing considering I don't want to be around her right now. And I'm just sitting here wallowing in self-pity and debating what to do next. I love this woman with every bit of my being, but also completely hate her right now. My question for you all, what would you do? Divorce seems like an easy answer, but I can't wrap my brain around that yet. People come back from cheating, right? Or is she actually a horrible person that I need to get far away from and work on starting life over again? I don't effing know. I'm lost. This is the worst situation I've ever dealt with, which, silver lining, makes me grateful for how easy my life has been, and I can't figure anything out. Thank you for reading this. I'm sorry if it was long and slash or confusing at any point. I needed to get things out of my brain to begin processing next steps. Much love to all of you. Update: in early 2019, I caught my wife having an affair. We had a lot of issues in our relationship that were likely never going to be fixed, and the affair was the final nail in the coffin. While it took us a few months to make the decision final, we separated in June and were divorced by October. And today, I am the happiest I've ever been. I spent the first 6 months of my new single life going out and having fun in a way that I had never experienced before. Brief flings with a handful of women, which was actually quite important for my self-confidence as it turned out. That was fun for a while, but then a pandemic happened. Don't know if you've heard about it, and I had to put that life on pause. And then, a friend who I had been crushing on for a little while asked if I wanted to be her quarantine buddy, just so neither of us would have to be stuck at home alone. And well, one thing led to another, and here I am falling in love in a way that not long ago felt like I never would again. We've been officially dating for a couple months now, and quarantine life has definitely sped up our relationship in a way neither of us could have expected. I'm not rushing to make any concrete plans for our future, but things are seriously so damn good right now. She makes me feel so loved and attractive and special, and I just want to spend every possible moment with her. For all of you who come here at the lowest point in your lives, heartbroken and profoundly miserable, please know that it's temporary. Love will always win, even if it takes a beating along the way.